we're ready to make that soup. That is on in the cookbook, page 38. It's the lunch. It's the chicken and rice. I do this when everybody in the family is sick, but I also do it for lunches. It's great in cold weather. I use 1 can of the Swanson's All Natural. And then I have this measured out from when I cooked my chicken, the clear broth. I use 2 cups of the broth. Now, when I'm doing this and they're not sick, I do this with a salad, and I do it with a dinner roll. This morning I made bread, and I did the dinner rolls with the bread. When you have sick people, the bread is real good, toasted, if they can handle it that way, unless their throat's hurting real bad. But the bread has protein in it. It also helps to strengthen their immune system. I do 1 teaspoon of the sea salt that I buy at Ingles, and that's with the spices and the flavorings. And now, if your sea salt's a little bit chunky inside, it's okay because it doesn't have all that preservatives. I put a little bit too much in. And it's not as strong as regular salt, so don't worry if you use a little bit more. And it also has no sugar added to it, and that's another reason why I do it. I put that in there, and now I put parsley. I just do a little bit of parsley in there. And this is the Simply Organic that Ingles carries that I have, and I have this in my pantry. Do about a 1/2 teaspoon of that. The black pepper, do about a 1/4. Now, all of these have not been irradiated. I've just learned something new. You have to be real careful, and this is celery salt. You don't have to put this in. We like the flavor, so I put that in it, and I just do about 1/8 of a teaspoon of that. The other thing I do is brown rice, and I've got my cup of brown rice, and I've got my chickens. But right now, I'm going to cut up the carrots. On the one I made in the crock pot, what I do is I boil it here, the carrots and everything, and I add the chicken in last. Then I put it into my crock pot and turn it on low because it's already done. The carrots are tender, the celery is tender. Some people don't like celery, so I've done one with celery, and I'm doing one without. The celery is organic that I get at Ingles. My carrots, right there in the bag. My celery's Earth Farm Organics, and I get both of those at Ingles. And I just cut these. I've already washed it. And then I just slice it down like this. And they cook up real easy. You don't want to put your rice in. My rice has already been cooked. I have this pot here, and I'm going to show you in a little while. I put freezer bags of the chicken already cooked, and I usually use 3 chicken breasts in this recipe. And I use a cup of the brown rice in the recipe if you like a little bit more. But put that and this at the end just so it warms right before you eat, or while it's on low there, because the rice will just get bigger and mushier, and you don't really want it to be mushy. So I cook it just like the directions on the bag, which I buy this at Ingles, the brown rice. I do the organic. And then I take a cup of each one of these. I put them in freezer bags, and that way if somebody's sick or if I'm sick, all I have to do is pull out this. I also put that 2 cups of broth. I do it in a freezer bag. So I have freezer bags with 2 cups of broth. Sometimes I have them with 1 cup of broth to put in gravy or whatever. Now, if you have a bigger family than 4, you can double this recipe very easily. This recipe freezes good as long as your chicken and your rice is not in it. So if you want to do your vegetables and do your can of broth and do your other broths, then it freezes nicely. But then put the chicken and the rice, leave it separate, and put it in after you put it in the pan and slowly thaw it out by just keeping it down on a low temperature until it all thaws, or stick it in your crock pot and then it thaws out there. It takes a little bit longer. This is a meal that with a salad, you can cook the chicken and all the night before if you haven't put it in your freezer. And when you get home from work, it can just be in your refrigerator and cook your rice, and all you have to do is put it all together. I wouldn't leave this in the crock pot all day because it will get too done, and your carrots and everything will be mushy too. Now, then I just cut my chicken up in chunks. Another thing that you can tell about this chicken, and I think I have said this before on the show, Springer Mountain chicken has a nice clean smell. It doesn't smell up your whole kitchen when it's cooking. Take a different brand of chicken and cook that, and in another pot cook your Springer Mountain, and there's so many differences. I could always tell after my daughter would react to this stuff. Now the other chicken, this is the only chicken she doesn't react to, so this is the only one I use, and I've used it for years. But after meeting the people there and seeing how they treat the chickens and everything, I was really, really impressed, and they have real happy employees working for them too. It's a real happy place. But they really care about what they put in stuff. And when you have chicken that when you boil it and it has that yellow look to it, you know then that it has lots of chemicals in it. Here we go. We're going to go ahead, and I'm just going to show you. I'm going to put all this in because I'm going to simmer this in the crock pot, and then you can see how it is done. I also I put garlic in that one in the crock pot. I put 1 clove of garlic. When you're sick, garlic is a natural antibiotic. And so you can also do a broth just with the Springer Mountain chicken and put the broth after you take the chicken out and put it. I've got that recipe in the book. Onion, celery, carrots, bell pepper, a whole bell pepper if you want. I put about 5 cloves of garlic in it. And put your salt and all, and then strain all that out. And you can put cabbage in it too, and that's a real healthy broth to help you get strong after surgery, to help you get strong after a virus. And you can drink it just hot in a mug, and it's real good for you. And it even has protein in it too. There. Now the chicken is real easy to cut. There we go. And what I do is I cook this for about 20 minutes, and then I pop it into the crock pot, let it simmer, or I let it cool down, and I put it in the refrigerator for later on, maybe that day, or for lunch. Let me show you too with the with my clove of garlic. I cut around this, and that pulls it out. And then I have my Pampered Chef tool. I love this, y'all, because I do a lot of garlic. And I got that from my European grandmother, and it makes food taste so much better without having to use a lot of spices and things. Now, this is what it does. Let me show you. I just press, and then I just take my knife and scrape that off. And that gives soup, roast, anything great, great flavor. We have one more chicken breast here, so we're going to stick that in. Now, if you're going to do this for dinner, what I do is either the dinner rolls, this bowl of soup, and I do a tall salad, and then I also usually do a fruit salad. When you're real sick, lemons are different than oranges or grapefruits. They have a natural antibiotic in them too. And even though they're a citrus, they don't have the same problem sometimes that citrus gives you. But while you're sick, if you would eat 1 orange a day, along with all the rest of what I'm telling you here, then it would help you. But orange juice is too much sugar. It turns into sugar. Anything that turns into sugar, popsicles, any of that stuff, that just compromises your immune system, and that's why so many people get ear infections and they don't get over it and they have to get an antibiotic. Don't do any juice or anything with sugar in it while you're sick, you know, and then at least for even a week afterwards, because if you don't do any, honey is a whole different ball game. If you don't do anything, juices and stuff like that, without the sugar, then that gives your immune system a chance to rebuild. When I say juices now, if you want to juice an orange, you can do that and have that. That's the way people used to make orange juice. They would juice the oranges, and you do it just like we did the lemon. And then that's great for you. But what's really good is all of the orange, and it tastes great. So do it in small slices. If you have kids that aren't used to a lot of fruit and stuff, I do small slices. Scrambled eggs, as in that book, in that chapter 2. I do that for breakfast with a piece of the whole wheat toast with no butter on it because you don't want their stomachs to be upset. And then I do a slice of an orange, real thin slices where they can just eat it like you'd eat a piece of watermelon. It's real sweet. And put that with their egg and their bread. Don't put sugary jams on it. Don't put a lot of butter, any of that stuff, because the sugary jams will also cause their immune system to be low. So stay away from the sugar. And I should just cut one of these real quick and see. But we are going to a commercial break right now, y'all, and I'll have it ready when I come back. Thanks.